been watching my shows, you know that I'm on this path to find out where humanity went wrong. Where's our destiny? And why are we so brainwashed with everything that's been going on for the last couple hundred years at least, if not more?
Well, I think here's the cool thing. I think we are finally in a position to get these answers, because it seems like something is happening with that. Everything seems to be going off of an edge very soon, and so as everything starts, as the seams start to pull apart, we're very lucky that we get to live in this moment to actually see behind the veil and go, well, wait a minute, because to even look at every past culture that we know of has just had to accept it. They've just had to accept what they've been told reality is. At this point, there is an awakening that's happening right before we go off this cliff. I think it's really kind of messed up, because either we're being woken up just in time to witness our own demise, or maybe I think that here's my honest hope for it, is I think we're being woken up because what's happening is actually a conversion from matter to energy, that there is an uplifting of mankind that can happen, that some of us are actively taking part in. But yeah, it is really interesting to actually to start to see, wait a minute, the power structures that exist right now are the exact same power structures that have always pulled the strings. And even when we say always, I've really started to question all of history, and whether we go back as far as they say, or we go back much further, or whatever, the one thing is clear: we have been completely lied to about where we come from and who we are. And I think this is the biggest thing that we got to start putting the pieces together on, is who actually are we? And I think that we can find this out. I think that we can start to get some answers to this by looking at the different beings that interact with us. Because in every culture, it's really crazy, because every single religion talks about this earth being where the final battle of the gods takes place. They're all very, very interested in us, in our species, and in this planet. And so I think if we start to pick that apart, we can see that we're not just animals that accidentally evolved into this. No, we were planted here, we were placed here, and I think we need to know why. But that's kind of my opening thoughts for this.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions that are going to back up them thoughts. I want you to tell us a little bit about, who you are and what you do.
But there did come, and I was really kind of clear at that. I'm just going to stick on the light side of magic. I'm just going to be a white witch, right? But then there came the moment where I had the need would be a strong word, the intense desire to throw a curse on somebody. And so that was actually, I was 17 years old. And that was a kind of a breakthrough for me, because that is the moment where I went into what I would consider, what most people would consider to be black magic, calling on demons to destroy my enemy. And what I didn't know was how much, and that did work. That worked miraculously, but that also unlocked something in me where it was like, wait a minute, I have been holding myself back on this line that I've now stepped all the way over on. And what that did for me is completely opened up my spirituality. So this is actually how my view of the left-hand path and of black magic, and this is why I call myself a black magician, is there's no limits. As a black magician, I can engage, which I do almost every morning, in yoga and Buddhist meditations. And that can be a really, really soulful part of my religious life. But also I can turn to voodoo, and I can call on demons, and I can do absolutely whatever I want. And so this is really my spiritual approach, is to go into every system that just I feel like, oh, that's cool, I want to learn something. I go dive into it as deep as I can. And what I'm looking for the whole time is what I call the gold. I'm looking for the practices that actually work, that I can take home, that I can do the prayers, I can do the meditations, I can follow the steps. It does something. That's one of my kind of standards. It has to do something. If it's just making you feel good and get through the day, I guess that's good enough, but for me it's not.
Question there is, you mentioned white magic and black magic, and I've thought about that all week too. Is okay, black magic, white magic. Well, why didn't you just say I'm a white magic guy instead of a black magic guy? Because black magic would scare everybody away.
Here's my honest view of it. Well, so 100%. If I called what I did white magic, and if I wrapped it in a right hand path thing, first off, I wouldn't be getting canceled every step I take. That's for sure. That you get a pass if you're walking the right hand path, and I would I'd get a much bigger audience. I'd probably make a lot more money. There'd be a lot of things, but it would be inauthentic. Because here's my view on it. For if you are truly right hand path white magic, there comes a presupposition with that. You are working 100% with the divine, and you trust the divine. The divine is actually the one in charge. As such, in even doing magic, you're questioning the divine. Let's say you do a healing spell for you. Did you not trust that you got that illness for a reason? Did you not trust the divine's plan? So already at your first instance of doing any kind of magic, you're already doing black magic. Whether or not you think you are or not, you're already asserting your will and your desire over the divine's plan. And so it all is black magic. I do think that I think it's the same hypocrisy we see within the churches, is that a lot of it's greed and power lust, this wrapped in this right hand path package. And I do think that's what we can see a lot on the right hand path, and that is why I give myself a label that does distance myself from them, because I don't think it's the healthy spiritual path. I actually think that this is what's I call it. I've noticed that there's something that's happened at some point in history called the Great Inversion. I call it the Great Inversion, where goddesses became demons and good became evil, and the people who are most evil in this world are hailed by society as being the good guys. And it's completely flip-flopped. And so even though it gives me a bad reputation with a greater amount of society, that's the only way I can be honest with myself, is to just be honest with myself, and to not dip into that inauthenticity of just taking the label or the name just because it would be the easier route. No, I'm going to be more authentic to what it is. And a part of that also is we are dark entities. We're light too. We're also dark. We have not only do we have darkness within, we are existing in a very dark spiritual realm. This place is not paradise. It's quite the opposite. And so as such, I do think that we're doing ourselves a massive disservice to not recognize and to not honor the darkness within and the darkness without. And this is even a part of that we see built into every mythology is, if you don't invite the evil queen to the supper, that's when she starts throwing the whole kingdom into disarray. All you have to do is set a plate for her. All you have to do is make sure she's invited. And so with that, I take that lesson and go, I don't walk around all day gloomy, but quite the opposite. I'm actually a really happy-go-lucky, happy, positive person. But I'm able to do that because I do take a part of my time in my life and devote that to the darkness that is there. And that's something I think hardly anybody that considers themselves to be right-hand path would actually be able to do, is to sit there and acknowledge their own darkness and their own evil.
Do good without doing bad, or bad without doing good. Is that correct?
Well, even you can look through the Bible, and this is a fun little experiment to do for anybody that wants to do a Bible read all the way from cover to cover, and just keep a tally on a notebook of the amount of people that God and his angels kill and the amount of people the devil kills. The devil is close to zero, and God is almost everybody that's dying in floods and fires and turning them to brimstone and this and that and the other. It's like, well, wait a minute. Again, this great inversion. Then the Gnostics knew this. They did warn of Yaldabaoth, the archonic god that's actually come to subvert everything and to take your worship. But no, okay. So this is there is this, again, the part of that inversion. And I just kind of mentioned this in passing, but now I'll actually pause and expand this idea. They've taken all of the goddesses and turned them into demons. And so not all of the demons began as goddesses. Every single goddess that has existed has been inverted and has turned into a demon. And part of this is to invert the matriarchy into a patriarchy, and to completely this is part of this is part of actually the normal cycle we can see as one culture conquers another one. But here's the scary thing is we actually see this happening right in front of us today, changing the language that we can use, changing the words we're allowed to say and to not say, tearing down our idols, but not just our statues, destroying our corporations, anything that stands up for the symbols of the past. We can see, but at this point, it's a little more invisible than it was when Greece was out there conquering different parts of the world, or Rome was. It seems like there's an invisible conqueror that's in our midst. If somebody gets sees an oil stain on their driveway that looks like the Virgin Mary, all of a sudden there's thousands of people wanting to buy tickets to see it. But this really speaks to this place we're at. It's really messed up, because I do think that in much more ancient civilizations where the shaman had a place in every society, that there was a bit more of an integration. At this point, where your only spiritual outlet is this really, really narrow, as it says right in the Bible, a narrow gate that you have to pass through. Well, that does leave a lot of people really hungry for something. And then along with that, this awakening I 100%, I've actually got a bit of a timeline for this. 1999, there started to be some kind of rupture in the spiritual dimensions. It seemed like the veil started ripping in 1999. And then 2012, it seems like there was a switch flipped. A lot of people, it came and went and nothing happened. Well, if nothing happened, I'm sorry. For me, I can look back to from 2012 to now and see how much actually has happened. And so we have experienced a lot of different, I think, dimensional shifts. Samuel Colt called his Colt revolver the Equalizer. And he specifically sold that to women who were out on their farms by themselves. Look, a man comes up, you've got no chance, but this here equalizes it. And like you're saying, it is technology, because no longer does she have to wrestle him to the ground. She's just got to pull that finger. And I think you're onto something. Is that so how do you feel about it? Technology, like I feel like Ted Kaczynski was right. I feel like we've gone so far down this I think self-destructive path without it. Eric Weinstein said this quote that I love, that we are gods but for the wisdom. And so we do have the access to this technology. We got the power to destroy this planet, but we don't seem to have the wisdom to guide it. And so I don't know, how do you feel about all this?
I think you're right. The wisdom that there's plenty of wisdom out there, but nobody's looking for it nowadays, because they all want it served on a platter right to you.
The real secrets of unlocking magical states and making magical things happen, it requires that you tune into the extreme subtle things that are happening around you and inside of you. That it's not a demon popping out, ha 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 ha. No, it's this feeling of, wait a minute, there's something in the room. And then you have to tune into that something in the room. And you almost have to start feeding it just a drip line of your attention, your time, your own energy for that to become something, but you can completely dismiss it. And while, for the countless times I've had somebody in my temple right next to me, we're doing a ritual together, and I'm having just a mind-blowing psychedelic experience with it. And the person standing next to me goes, well, when's the spirit going to get here? And I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, it's not that the spirit's not here. It's that you haven't, you're still in your sensory self, and you need to drop much lower than that. And that is really hard, especially if you're glued to screens, if you're, and this is kind of one of my big complaints about the digital world, is that it does have, there's a dryness to the digital world. You don't get satisfied from it. It's like eating at a buffet that you never really get full and you never really feel fully satisfied, but you just keep eating. Whereas you go for a walk in the woods and it can completely fill your tank. The digital world doesn't have a spirit to it that you can actually connect with.
Yeah, and I think that has all been put there not by chance or random or oh boy, look at, we discovered all this stuff. I don't know if you agree with that. I think there was somebody giving us this technology. Like I talked about last night, I know you're there, and I didn't know if you listened to the whole thing, but the idea is that for the last, I'd say 50 to 100 years, at least 100 years, or maybe more, somewhere in there. And I can kind of trace it back to, say, the early 1800s, and that's as far as I can get, where, but at some point in the early 1900s, things were changing so fast that I can't relate to my father, and I can't relate to my son, and his father my dad can't relate to his father, and his father could probably relate to his father much better.
It is really fast. Those gaps don't take a very long time. It's not like,
no, 10 years, 10 years,
a 50-year gap. So I play bass guitar. And the guy that I play guitar, that plays guitar with me, band. I mean, we don't really. It's just two of us, but whatever. We're a band. But we jam, and so but he's only about maybe 8 years older than me. Completely different musical. I'm over here playing Alice in Chains and Nirvana, and he's doing Van Halen. I'm like, well, wait, wait a minute. And so culturally there is a speed up. But then go back 100 years. And it's like a flat line where nothing's happening. We got the wheel and we got fire, and we didn't go much beyond that. Well, I mean, okay, so yeah, we could look at all kinds of stuff with the turning of the aeons and stuff like that, but that's even beyond that, because normal magical processes are going to follow. So magic is a really interesting thing, that it's supernatural, but it's still bound into the natural world. And so things don't break the laws of physics. They find really interesting loopholes to work their way around. So this kind of change, this is beyond just something that's happening energetically or whatever. I think I can't remember the word you used, but all right. So a lot of the people who have been working for the government to find alien craft. I don't think they're coming from other planets. They've been referring to these things as donations, and that really makes me wonder. Donations, okay, so they're being donated. But as more and more information comes out, it's clear the people who are actually giving their official statements in front of Congress are not saying that they're extraterrestrial. They're saying they're interdimensional. They're also saying that there are agreements that have been made. And so this is what I wonder is, has our government come in contact with some sort of jinn type of entity that is able to cross over the realms, become physical and non-physical at will, and that they've made some sort of deal with them in order to get their technology? Because that is a whole lot of what it seems like. And I'm not saying specifically the jinn, but God, I mean, it seems like these creatures have been interacting with us for a very long time. No, and that their crafts haven't changed over hundreds of thousands of years. Like we went from a carriage to a Mercedes Benz. They've been driving Mercedes Benzes forever, and they happen to crash them a lot around us. And so yeah, it really does. So there's the donations that are probably happening in a very real physical way, but also on another realm, people having these inspired thoughts. All of a sudden, Nikola Tesla waking up and having this idea of, if I just put these wires right, what the hell? Where'd that come from? And so I think this is happening at multiple levels, but I don't think it's just like an energetic flow into the next state. No, this seems like a very strange intervention that's going on.
I totally agree, because it just seems too random of a chance. And if it is, well, then maybe they are right. We did overnight became oozed up out of the slime and became humans walking upright overnight, if that's the case. Because you're right, for hundreds of years, nobody could figure out how to make an internal combustion engine. For hundreds of years, the Egyptians, or the guys who built the pyramid, couldn't figure out how to make a wheel. Are you kidding me?
Well, even looking like walking upright, unlike any other animal on this planet. I mean, even other primates don't walk fully erect as we do. So where did that come from? Also, every other mammal is covered in enough fur that it doesn't have to worry about getting sunburned and having issues with our sun. We're these bare, naked animals, these pink, upright animals. Doesn't seem like we belong here. It seems like we're not on our native planet. I'll say that. I don't know where. To just throw this out there, looks like something happened on Mars, and that could have easily have be the path that we're headed. And so maybe we jumped from Mars over here or something. I don't know. What's actually just beyond the illusion we're currently in seems like a highly advanced technological civilization. Seems like there is this. My theory is that this planet is not a planet at all. It's a Dyson sphere. That this is a technological organism that has been created to harvest energy and electricity of all kinds of various sorts. And it's all being funneled to probably the center where it's being extracted, but probably by entities that live there. And so there is this multi-layer thing, but I think that's the veil is cracking. I think we're seeing through to not an energetic realm, but actually something very, very physical that's just out of phase. And that we're seeing a breakdown where the things that are supposed to be out of phase are accidentally phasing through, crashing into mountains and whatever else, and leaving their signatures. This has been really complicated by the technology that we've got, where now they used to be able to buzz around us and we couldn't see them. But now that we've got cameras that are recording in 60K, we can slow that down and go, oh, yeah, look at this here. And frame by frame, watch these strange things. And the more we look at it, the more it doesn't look like just craft, but looks like a lot of entities with a lot of limbs that are doing weird things around our bases. And people are still going, oh, that's a craft. What are you talking about, a craft? A craft doesn't have dangly tentacles. Don't give me craft. Come on. And these are entities from another dimension that are peeping through here. And so I do think, I do think that there's, but that's just, when you ask what's beyond the veil, it's like that's the first thing that I kind of come to is like that seems what's breaking down is there's a highly evolved technological civilization on this planet sharing space with us that's just out of phase. But there's so much though. Like there's an infinite number of different possibilities and stuff, and all of this is within our very limited scope of observation, because anything that gets too big or too small we can't understand, and so we're really screwed here. Yeah, well, and with the topic of preparedness, just a real quick word on that. I see a lot of people putting a whole lot of attention on the physical preparedness of getting the food and the water storage and all of that. But also, we really need to prepare, ourselves with our skills, developing the skills that we're going to need, making sure that, we're in a place, because we are the one resource. We're the big resource that we're going to carry with us everywhere. So I do recommend, putting some attention also on yourself. And those skills are going to be useful no matter what you're doing. Okay. All right, guys. I think that might be it for the show. It's been awesome chatting with y'all. It's been awesome being on here. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Any engagement on the channel does help the channel grow. Thank you for being here, everybody.